they have everything to equip you to be that successful and to excel as a global citizen. And I think it's the various opportunities that the school does give you and the various amount of programs to sort of equip you for post-graduation.
I'm Glenn Herbert, and I'm an editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private schools to gain insights into their programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administrators. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
I would say about BCS, it would be 100% the sense of community. I mean, it's absolutely unmatched. Like I said, just basing off my previous experience of attending a school of 1,500 students, when you go to Bishop's College School, you are literally within a community of, let's say, 200 to 250. And not only that, but it's the international diversity that's at the school. And that's also showed in the chapel. It's a non-denominational institution. But when you enter the chapel, with it all on the chapel walls, you see all the various flags of all the 40 plus countries that are represented at the school. So I would say it's 100% the sense of community and realizing that where I was from, in this very small Quebec rural town, and you sort of almost, you're living in a bit of a bubble and realizing sort of the international sort of global importance. And then you realize like you are more than just a small town Quebecer, but you're a global citizen. And I think that this sort of perspective that BCS absolutely appreciated about the school. I would say if you almost would like to break it down into sort of 4 pillars, I guess if you want to say it, there was like academics, athletics, the arts, and they really emphasized leadership, service, and volunteerism. And I think when you sort of walk into the school, you're a bit apprehensive at first and you have so many opportunities and you can sort of be to yourself, but realize like, listen, they have everything to equip you to be that successful and to excel as a global citizen. And I think it's the various opportunities that the school does give you and the various amount of programs to sort of equip you for post-graduation. Okay, well, I'll be honest with you. This is probably the most, I think, a question that sort of really differentiates BCS from any other school, I mean, worldwide. I truly, truly believe this. I mean, first of all, I would just talk about how geographically superior BCS is. It's so different. Sort of where it is, BCS is essentially culturally immersed in a very in a Quebec region where sort of Anglos and Francos live in this environment of linguistic duality. So you're seeing that within Quebec, it's a very francophone province, but there's a pocket of English where the school is situated. So you're sort of immersed in, yes, you have this Anglo culture, but then surrounding it, you have a very bilingual and francophone culture. So you get to sort of immerse yourself in both cultures on a daily experience. So sort of emphasizing how important not just being unilingual, bilingual, being multilingual, which again just goes back to this emphasis of being a global citizen and not just your local citizen, and sort of contributing and volunteering as much as you can. Now, again, just in terms of geography, so Bishop's College School, BCS, is a 5-minute walk away across the river, actually, from a university called Bishop's University. So essentially why I bring up this geographical connection between both schools would essentially be that BCS offers what's called a bridging program. So when you're in your last year, which BCS sort of, I guess, categorizes the different age categories. So for example, in Ontario, you have grades 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Well, in the Quebec system, you have level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But at BCS, they call it forms. So form 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is your last year. So sort of your grade 12 year. So essentially, when you're in your grade 12 year, if you have an 80% average or above, you can literally walk across the bridge to Bishop's University and take university credited courses, one in the fall and one in the winter. So when you enter university the following year, you're already ahead of the game. So you already have some of those introduction courses. I would say, secondly, the school has a cadet program. which at first a lot of people are like, oh, am I getting into some extremely hardcore military style cadet program? But it's more of a I guess, a character building and leadership program. And
Mm-hmm.
it's actually the oldest cadet corps in Canada. And it sort of teaches you like camaraderie, teamwork, and self-discipline. I think another sort of major point the school sort of differentiates itself on is sort of the Duke of Ed. It's the Duke of Edinburgh Award. It's sort of this internationally accredited volunteer and service-driven program. And they sort of base it off of a bronze medal, a silver medal, and a gold medal. And you could do it all at the school. So you have to do cultural exchanges, volunteerism within the community, learning new skills. So those are some of the programs that sort of BCS does offer that sort of differentiate them from other schools. And I was able to do my bronze, silver, and gold at BCS. And at the end, when you attain your gold, for example, personally, the Queen's daughter, Princess Anne, was able to come and deliver our gold medals to whoever the gold award winners were. So I'd say that's probably some of the major. And I guess another thing when I'm thinking about this out loud is the International Baccalaureate Program, the IB, that they offer, this sort of elite pre-university program that sort of prepares students for university studies. I think off the top of my head, if BCS was a friend of mine, I would maybe characterize BCS as confident. I'd say I'd use the word confident. I guess maybe the three I might use could be interchangeable. I guess it could be like sort of a 3-to-1 deal. But I'd say confident, well-rounded, and equipped. And I guess if I can maybe add another one, it would be a leader. Sort of why I say that, I mean, BCS, it equips you. It gives you all the necessary tools and experiences while you're at the school in order to sort of excel in academics, sort of those pillars I was talking about, going back to academics, athletics, the arts, and service. So I'd say that just based off sort of your experience in the school and them sort of equipping you with various leadership roles, like being a prefect, a house captain, student ambassadors, etc. After your experience is done, you will be fully equipped, meaning that you will be confident. Essentially, you will be well-rounded because you've had all these different experiences that not just range on simply academics and excelling in academics and studying at the library, but also on the soccer field, on the ice hockey arena, on the squash courts, and then as well within the community in terms of volunteerism, not just benefiting your local, not just the school community, not just the local community in which your school, so BCS, is situated, Lennoxville, but as well the global community. I would say, I mean, no student is the same at this school. I mean, in terms of the diverse backgrounds that these students are coming from, be it Russia, where I am, North Hatley, a town of 700 people, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, Hong Kong. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, there's 40 countries. So you are literally getting so many distinctive, diverse backgrounds, where I think is the actual strength of BCS. But I think if you can maybe link everybody together as one, I would say they are very, they're very driven. And driven not in terms of, I want to obtain X in 10 years. It's just when you get to the school, you absolutely have no idea the opportunities that are going to be sort of handed to you on this silver platter. And you sort of have this privilege to pick and choose on what you want to do. So for example, you could walk into the school and you're not athletic whatsoever, but at the school it's mandatory to be as I could say, like a student athlete, meaning that there is a 3-term student athlete. So in the fall, you have to do a sport. In the winter semester, you have to do the sport. And in the spring semester, you have to do the sport. So and then in whatever you do, you are driven to succeed accordingly and do the best to which your ability can offer you. And I think for me personally, I was, for example, in cross country running in the fall semester. Then I played on the varsity hockey team. And then in my last year, we actually created a badminton team, because in my old high school, badminton was an extremely popular sport, but BCS didn't offer it at the time. But it just goes to show you how open-minded they are. And we brought a group of students together and we said, listen, we have this passion for badminton. We have about 15 students who would love to sort of create a badminton team and compete in various tournaments. And they thought it was amazing. They accepted it. They gave us all the resources available, and we were able to go and sort of perform at this badminton tournament. The first time BCS has ever done this in their 175 to 200 year history. Well, I mean, I guess I could be a bit repetitive when I say this, but I mean, this is literally for the first thing when you meet a BCS student, or even like when you reflect back on the school itself and sort of my experience, again, was this number one, the value is community. Right away, right away. I actually had friends that that came to the school to sort of spend a day with me to sort of see the culture, what I was talking about, because a lot of my public school friends didn't really understand this sort of sense of community, what they're talking about. So they actually came to the school with me because they were thinking of going to school the following year. And they immediately, within about 15 minutes, realized what I was talking about, because you really understand the importance that you are a school of 200 students, and everybody working together makes this institution a lot better place to study and to live. Because at the end of the day, you're spending, if you're a boarder, you're spending 7 days out of 7 days at the school, Monday to Friday, and then over as well on the weekends. So, and the school hosts these this emphasis on community, so service and volunteerism, so not being paid to go and clean let's say the floors, or go and rake the leaves in the fall time, or go help a teacher out, for instance, who's, let's say, injured, and have to go help her with her groceries, which actually was an experience of mine. So sort of that sense of service and community, where we would go, and as a school, everybody would have a certain job to do. So for example, you were raking leaves. That was, let's say, a school community initiative. Then there was this initiative of a local community. As I said, Bishop's College School, BCS, is located in Lennoxville. So then we'd take a group of students and we'd go into Lennoxville and do garbage pickup, cleaning graffiti, and helping volunteer at the Friendship Day Parade and all these various initiatives. And sort of realizing, like, we're not just this international prep school that's 5 minutes away. Like, we are part of the community, and you guys are a part of us, which in turn makes everybody stronger, and it's reciprocal. And then sort of that greater, sort of broader international, sort of global focus, where a lot of our students go on various exchanges in terms of building schools in developing countries, having a cultural experience like I had, going to Switzerland, and staying and sort of witnessing their culture, playing hockey in these various countries, having dinner and sitting down and sort of seeing what their perspectives were. So I would say probably the main value that you would be able to see, hear, and read about with BCS is community. I would say it's probably twofold. Number one, it's the campus. It's visually stunning. I mean, even before I attended BCS, I would be having to go to BCS for athletic and even academic events that were happening. And right away, it's about I think, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's 250 acres. And there's this like pristine river. It's just picturesque. It's like what you'd see in a movie. And you're like, oh, wow, like I'm actually attending this institution. And you have this beautiful, pristine river pretty much running right beside the campus. It's on the campus. And students do go down and fish, and they have like cultural activities, and bring like local indigenous leaders to speak about the land in which that they settled on, etc. And I think another, and just in terms of like the architecture, I said the number one thing you go if you're a Harry Potter fan is, oh wow, like I'm literally in Hogwarts. And I mean, if a lot of my tours that I used to give to prospective families and students, I would take them to our Ross dining hall, and right away you literally believe you are in Hogwarts. I mean, obviously they don't teach magic there, but I'd say it's a very magical place to be. And I say probably the other thing, just in terms of I guess a big shock for me in my first day as a student, sitting down, was the student teacher ratio. Personally, you're coming from, an institution of 1,500 students. So you're in a classroom of literally 40 students, and you go in, and one of my largest classes that I had, and it was my first day. I don't want to exaggerate. I believe we were 18 students, and you're sitting down, and you're almost like, oh, like where's the rest of the class? I feel like why are we starting? And I'd say it's probably in terms of the student teacher ratio. I'd say absolutely, very easily. I would say how it sort of shaped me. I would say just my confidence. So at BCS, right away, you're taught to get outside of your comfort zone right away, because you have to engage with all of these students. They become your friends. You join these various programs. You go from knowing three students to like just your little initial table that you're eating at on your first day, to then knowing literally the school within a month. So it's basically giving you that confidence to get outside of that comfort zone, your little bubble, sort of closing your nose and jumping in with both feet, and sort of immersing yourself with the culture, with the diversity, and with any opportunity that you see fit, which I literally live by today. Which sort of my motto is this something that I don't feel comfortable doing? Yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to do it, because it's going to indirectly benefit you, and you're going to grow more as a person. And I would say absolutely BCS instilled that in me. I don't know if technically, to be quite honest with you, if I would change anything. But I would say this is sort of an experience, or I guess a challenge, that I did sort of like just witness. So in my last year, when I was a Form 7 student and when I was a prefect, I participated in what they call like a Bigs and Littles program. So essentially, your Form 7 students, so your sort of your senior students in the school, would have about two or three Form 2 students. So Form 2 being in the Ontario institutions would be grade 7. So their first year at the school. And basically, you're almost an advisor. And and every student has an advisor at the school that sort of overlooks their sort of social and academic progress within the school. But then they also provide you again with that opportunity to be a leader. And you're sort of given, for example, the sort of opportunity to be a big and be an advisor. And I'd say the challenge is a lot of the littles that I had were 14, 13-year-old boys and girls who are basically been thrown into this border experience,
Mhm.
and just being almost a culture shock, coming from Hong Kong, coming from Mexico, for example, and being thrown into a boarding school where you don't know anybody. And I think that sort of was like this social experiment, realizing like, yes, this will be a challenge, and yes, you will get used to it, but it's going to be through a support system at the school that you will be able to get through it, and you're going to excel as an individual and then become a leader further on. Yeah, I'd say your perspective on the school does change for sure. You don't know sort of what you have like until it's gone. And it's really funny in my first year at university. Because you have this schedule at the school, this rigorous and very busy schedule.
Mhm.
And so at the time, you're not really thinking about, wow, I'm so sort of grateful to be here. You're worrying about the exam or the speech you have or the upcoming band performance that you have to do, the choir service that you're going to have to perform at, for instance. You're really focusing on sort of in the moment. But I'd say when you sort of look back, you just realize this unbelievable this community experience, the friends that you did have. And I'd say my first year university, we were sort of fortunate at Carleton. We had about 6 BCS students that were in my residence too, and we went out to eat one evening to sort of look back and sort of reflect. And some of the students were, if you would ask them at the time, was BCS like you're like the best, they would have told you the complete opposite. And they said they did not enjoy, let's say, their experience at the time. But it's because they were living in the moment. And then literally 4 months to 5 months after you graduated, they said, Chad, I've never missed a school so much in my life. So it just goes to show you when you do reflect back, I mean, it's sort of based on sort of in the moment. And when I do go back to various events, there's the hockey alumni tournament that they host. You, when I meet with some of the students, the current students, and I'm talking to them, and I know that, let's say they're in Form 6 or Form 7, so your senior years, I'd say my number one tip to them is, listen, I know I was told the same thing, and you sort of just let it slide as though it's someone's lecturing you, but just enjoy your last months here. I said, when you guys leave, you will never miss a place so much. Your teachers, your friends. And what's really nice too is in some of these alumni events that do occur, you have your old teachers of like 10 years ago, even for some people 20 years ago, that literally will travel from Toronto to Montreal, like hours away, just to see you. And it's happened to us multiple times. So it goes to show you that sense of community. It's not just you graduate and it's done. It's an ongoing phenomenon at the school. It's community. If you want to be part of a diverse, multicultural, powerful friendship community, not only with your fellow students, but the teachers and the faculty, BCS is for you. Number two, I would say it's the programs. Again, in terms of the geographical location of BCS, you have opportunities that you literally could not get at any other prep school worldwide. You're able to take university, not only are you able to take IB, but you're able to take and sit in university courses as a high school student that will count for your university career the following year. And I'd say number three would be the volunteerism and the service. They sort of instill in you where you want to give back. It's reciprocal in terms of sort of the motto we go by, gratitude is the attitude. And you will be given all of these various opportunities for leadership. Take advantage of them. Again, get outside of your comfort zone, jump in with two feet, immerse yourself, and you're going to be coming out of BCS a changed man and woman. I'd say probably the number one emphasis that I could place would be the quality of the teachers. Again, I would say it's the quality of the teachers. At this institution, again, what we say is they are the architects of the futures, of our futures, of the futures of the students. I cannot emphasize that enough. And when you're living on a lot of these, majority of the teachers at BCS are living on campus, and you sort of build these friendships with them. They're the advisors, your coaches, you're with them every single day. These are people that go out of their way to make sure that when you leave BCS, you are going to be excelling and you will be having amazing character traits, leadership traits, and you're going to be able to be that successful global citizen. So I would say number one, it's going to be the quality of the teachers. Well, I mean, I'm almost going to base it off my exact experience. So I remember my very first day, I am super, super nervous. I opened up the front doors, and obviously I went through a wrong door. And one of the prefects at the time was like, "Oh, hi, like, what's your name?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Chad." And we started having like this discussion. And right away, it's sort of this like friendly approach that he gave to me. It sort of made me sort of like calm me down, and it sort of gives you that ease of, wow, you're not just a number, but you're a face, you're a friend, and you're a fellow student and a member of this community. I would say, and right away he walked me to the table. So when you walk in, they sort of give you and list you all the various opportunities at BCS. So my number one tip to anybody entering this magical school would be to get involved right away in as many clubs and opportunities as you can. Because when you immerse yourself with these various leadership opportunities, even opportunities with drama, being in the play, being in the choir, being in the music band, right away, you are going to be meeting so many people. And once you start meeting people, making friends, and seeing that sort of diversity of the student body and that population within the school, that's just a stepping stone.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.